Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with neuroscience nerd and entrepreneur Olga Kirillova. She is a business coach for lifestyle entrepreneurs that helps first-time founders grow their business from $0 to their first $20K without burning out. She is also a mom of two, neuroscience and business psychology nerd. In a previous incarnation, she headed up teams and managed up to $2 billion businesses with the likes of Adidas and Wayfair. But regardless of how successful she was in the office, that's just not what she wanted from her life. We get into the pivots and so much more. Enjoy this interview. Well, hey, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. And sorry for missing it last time because I don't know what happened, but it just literally my calendar just didn't pop up, and I just continued working on something, and I was like, when I received your email.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's 100% fine. So where exactly are you located?
Near Lisbon.
Okay.
So in Portugal.
Wow, wonderful. Well, thank you for taking a minute out. And before we get into your life and, as in neuroscience, as an entrepreneur, everything that goes into who you are, how did you survive COVID? The last 3 years was quite a thing. How did you get through it? And how has it changed the way that you approach life now?
Well, it's actually there was no other way but starting out digitally, right? So we started with our services in the digital space. We just finished the coaching education. By then, I was second time pregnant actually. So started the business on the 7th month of second pregnancy or something. But yeah, it's just internet makes everything easier, right? So you can do it online, and actually you can have very close connection with people, even through technology, as we found out. And I don't know, just removed a lot of barriers for us right now as well, because we started doing some physical in-person workshops and trainings, but just since half year, since we moved to Portugal actually from Berlin, but still majority of our services are online, and we have clients all over the world. So a lot of them from Europe just because of the time difference, but we also have some people from the East Coast of the US as well.
So let's get to the essence of exactly what you do for a living daily. And I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids, third graders. And okay, it's career day.
Okay.
It's career day, and one of the kids asks you, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
So I help people to start a business with meaning. So something that is meaningful for them, not just selling some plastic shit on Amazon, but something that is comes inside out, that is really close to them, and transform it into something profitable that they can run, for a living, whilst enjoying it, whilst having more time and more freedom for themselves.
When you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, actually, this is funny because actually I wanted to be a doctor, but I just didn't realize that I would faint every time I would see blood. So that didn't work out well.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I get queasy around all that. So let's go back to your childhood. Tell me where you were born and raised and how these seeds got into you to be an entrepreneur and to be in the neurosciences, in the neuroscience field. You got a lot of interesting things going on. How did all this begin and develop into who you are today?
So basically, I was born in Russia, close to Moscow, so close to the capital, but in a small town. And I had so my life was a Brazilian soap opera actually, because my dad, biological dad, left almost after I was born, and then I had a stepdad, which I didn't know he was that, and I had this constant theme of people that I really loved and cherished living my life. So my biological dad left, my stepdad left, my mom at some point started drinking a lot, so she became an alcoholic, and then she also left me by passing away. So I had this constant feeling people around me, they are really struggling or slowly killing themselves, with alcohol, for example. There was not much aliveness. And I somehow had this rebellion inside of me that I really wanted to enjoy, I really wanted to live life, I really enjoy my physical experiences. And I just had a lot of stuff going on, unpleasant stuff going on with money, like when my mom would take credits from the banks and wouldn't be able to return them, or like when my parents like left me to live alone when I was 9 years old, and I basically was like surviving like that. And I think like I just generally have very low barrier or like low amount of fear in me about some things that people like really dreading. Like, I don't know, like I'm not that scared of like financial insecurity because like I went through a lot of shit with that. And like, I'm not that scared of like taking some steps in the unknown because of like all the childhood experiences. So I think, that's kind of like one part of it. And then the other part that I built myself up in all these like Fortune 500 companies, like over 15 years that I worked in corporate. But at some point, like it was so daunting and, I had like really severe anxiety attacks. Like I hated my job. I felt it was like completely meaningless. And yet I went there like every day until like my first child, at some point like rebelled and started like kicking me in the face when I picked her up from the daycare screaming that home is shit. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I want to find something different. I want to do something different, something more meaningful. And that was the time when I kind of like cold turkey. I dropped out of the corporate job. I didn't have anything. And I hired my first coach ever to find out like, okay, like I don't want this shit. What is it that I want? And we figured out that would be coaching. And that's like kind of like, I just invested my only savings I had, in that study. And like, yeah, basically like that's how it all started with entrepreneurship.
So who's been a hero for you or a role model in your life?
Oh, that's interesting because like I don't have many heroes or role models. Like I have a lot of trust in myself. Maybe my grandma, you know, like, because she's a tough cookie and she brought me up, like when nobody was there. So like she kind of like took care of me, and she was always very optimistic, even though like, she also comes from this like very poor background. They struggled a lot with money, like with my grandpa, like, and like her two kids. But she was always very, joyful. Like she always found humor in every situation. And I think that kind of like I took from her. So it doesn't matter like what shit hits the fan, like you can always laugh about it and you can always move on and you can always find the strength to take the next step out of it.
So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Oh, that's like such a good question. Who would I love to meet like alive? I actually don't know. Like, maybe Gaudi. I don't know why it popped up in my head. But like he's one of my favorite architects. Like I always loved everything that he did, like with a lot of innovation. So I think like I would love to meet with him just like to understand how his brain works.
That's great. That's wonderful. So, you know, of all of the things, the beauty of getting older in this life is that we gain wisdom, we fix things, we figure things out. So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into a much younger version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've gained and the life you've lived. What would you tell your young version?
Don't give a fuck about what other people think. Like, just really be honest with yourself about what is it that you want. Don't rationalize it away, and just go for it. Find a way to make it work. Yeah, I think like just being always honest to myself about my desires. That's something that I would love to give to myself.
So every day you wake up, you have this idea of what you want to do with your day. You have things that you want to accomplish. What motivates you? What drives you through every day?
So that's my sense of purpose. Like as I told you, right, that's like I had this experience of people around me kind of like killing themselves slowly. Like my grandpa was an alcoholic, my mom was that. And like, I just feel like it's such a beauty of having a physical body, of having all our senses, of being able to experience, I don't know, like, the taste of awesome foods, see beautiful sunsets, like, I don't know, hug my kids, like feel the kiss on the skin. Like, it's so beautiful. And, I somehow really want to give this to people, like to feel this aliveness, to really enjoy what they do. And I feel like entrepreneurship is not necessarily the only path, but it's the path where you make decisions, where you decide for yourself. And that's the beauty of it. And you can just like build it in a way that you can really enjoy life to the fullest. So that's what drives me out of bed, that I want to really give people this feeling.
So,
and
no, go ahead.
No, like, and that's where like, I think like this passion for like understanding how the human brain works, came in, because like, it's kind of like in coaching, we have a lot of, frameworks from psychology, right? From like positive psychology or from like cognitive behavioral therapy. But a lot of things like they're like just not explained deep enough. It's just like, oh yeah, like there was like, I don't know, some experiment and people behave like that. And for me, it's like never satisfying. I really want to understand what's going on in us, right? And because like I'm so like into this like physical body and sensations and everything, it's kind of like fascinating that sometimes people forget that like our brain is like literally inside our body, right? So it's like connected to everything we have inside. So any stimuli that we receive from the outside, like our brain processes in a certain way, right? And gives the signal to like from one part of the brain to other parts. And that's like triggers something in us, like, I don't know, like motoric behavior, like how our organs function, like everything, right? So that's kind of like, I don't know, grew into this passion to really understanding of the human brain and like how it works, why it is so difficult for us to make a change when we even know and we want it, but like we still don't do it. So like, yeah, I think that's also like another part of like me getting very nerdy on those things.
So let me ask you this, of all the things that you've accomplished and done in your life, what are you the proudest of?
My kids, I guess. That's like, I don't know, like if you can call this like accomplishments, but like when I look at them, how empathetic, they are. Like how much, like, I don't know, the older one, I mean, like, they both are not that old. So like the older one is just turning 7, but how much emotional intelligence she has and how she can feel people and analyze people, and like her critical thinking and logical thinking is just fascinating to see like how much she absorbs that. And also the fact that she's like already in all this like entrepreneurial ideas, you know, like, she's like, oh, like, we need extra money. Like, I can open a lemon store. Just make lemonade. And I think like that's the beauty of seeing that you can create a very different narrative, for people like in your bloodline down the line. Because like, for example, like in my experience, like I never had anyone in my family who would go on an entrepreneurial journey, right? It was always like work hard, you know, like life is difficult and stuff like this. And I can give a very different experience to my children, who can give different experience to their children and all the people around them. And the way how they perceive life is completely different. So I think that's probably I feel the most proud of.
What's been one of the best responses you've gotten from a client for the work you've done?
Maybe like one of our clients, Daniel. So he came out of brain tumor surgery when he found us. And that was like majorly driven by the fact that he felt extremely burned out, overworked, unseen, unappreciated in his corporate job. And so he got this brain tumor, and like he just had a newborn child. He had to go through like this surgery and radiation and everything. And like just being able to work with him and give him the opportunity to find his life purpose and find like what could be his purpose-driven business idea. And he's so happy right now. Like he's still working in corporate, like it's still full-time, but he created around 20K in like 6 months after he got like an additional education as well. And just like him crying once on the video when we were talking about like what he's able to experience right now and how he perceives life, work, his relationship, what he does for a living now, like as he's building out his purpose-driven business on the side. That's probably the greatest like testimonial appreciation of the work that we do with my partner.
So everyone out there has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you live your life. Who do you think you are?
No, great question. Well, like, I believe that's like underneath everything, like, it's just like how we, I don't know, behave, like, or to which like behavioral standards we hold ourselves and like how we perceive who we are. And like, I have 3 top values by which I define myself as a person. And it is joy. Like, I'm like in my normal day when like I'm not stressed, I'm extremely joyful. I'm like cracking jokes. I'm creating like joyful experiences for people. I'm connection because I love connection, not only to humans, like I love humans and human connection, but also to nature, and everything that is around me. And I'm also growth. I'm all about just, like putting one foot in front of the other and growing, because like I believe that we either grow or die. Every business either grows or dies. Every person either grows or dies. And, that's probably who I am, like joy, connection, and growth.
So for all of those that are listening that are energized and motivated by you and your story, where is the best place for them to go to hire you or to find more about what you do and how you conduct your business?
So it's basically quite easy. The website is called Metta Coaching, but with double T, so not like metaverse, but Metta from Buddhist Metta. So mettacoaching.com. That's quite easy to find us.
Wonderful. This has been great. Thank you for opening up. I really appreciate your story and the energy I can feel. There's a real vigor and it's always refreshing. So thank you for opening up.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.